Ladies, let's jump right into this because I'm using my personal phone to do this live. Happy Sunday. Okay, so did y'all hear about the verdict with, Diddy? Him being found guilty on 2 charges and then 3 charges, not guilty. I'm not really here just about Diddy. Um I'm here about there's a man that he made a video. I saw it on TikTok and I forget his name, but he was one of the male prostitutes that was purchased by Cassie to perform, intimate favors, not just for Diddy, but he specifically said it was for her. So, he also said in the statement that when law enforcement, bless you, baby, when law enforcement reached out to him, it wasn't just law enforcement, whatever detective agency, I forget the correct title, but he said that they were accompanied by Cassie. This is my thing, and just what I've been pondering on since I listened to his video that he made himself. Ladies, number one, I want to say people of money and status are sought after way more than what we know. And you know I still debate sometimes just how public I would like to go with my situation. If I did not experience this myself, I could not say to what I'm about to say. People will come to you because they want to. Hold on, y'all. I'm right here. Peekaboo. You want your bottle? I'm waiting on my food. Hold on, y'all. I ordered some food. Hold on. Can you get it? Let me lift this up. There you go. So what I was gonna say was this right here. People will use you and their personal revenge tactics and paybacks, and setups because of money, because of status, because of all types of situations. And you would be surprised at how things are orchestrated unless you were involved. So my stance on this is all I have always felt like Cassie was not a victim like today's women that are in toxic and abusive relationships that they are truly afraid to get out of. I have always felt like she was not a victim. When I say victim, um let's say she was partially victim because we cannot deny what we saw on that footage as far as what he physically did to her. But we also cannot deny that she, her involvement with him, the age that she was, as well as, how long she stayed thereafter, as well as a lot of these people, the male prostitutes that were purchased by her. So it's a lot of parts to it. I want to say this to women. Number one, we as women have to stop being so fast. I say we because we all have been. Some of us have been, some people are, and some people are going to be. So we need to hold our own selves accountable. But at the same stance, you have to be able to recognize when you yourself are contributing to your own abuse, your own toxicity, your own codependency. You have to be willing to, judge yourself, criticize yourself, measure yourself. I'm not taking anything away from what Diddy has done that has wronged any human being. Right is right and wrong is wrong. What I am saying is it's more to that case. I've always felt like that. And ever since I personally um have been bullied, gang stalked, harassed, and threatened on all levels because I would not participate in setting a particular high value man up. He is a man of status that I didn't know. His reputation, I knew, partial. reputation of his. And when I say partial, like, I knew what he went to college for, what he did, and certain things that he became publicly known for. But I didn't know his entire financial portfolio. I did not know his, the full extent to his status. I didn't know some things. And even I want to say this right here. They took that case, and we'll talk about it later. I'm just chatting really quickly while Chloe and I wait on our pizza. um they took his case, and I personally feel like they took his case to reveal how overly sexual he is, how much of a freak he is, and some may say degrading. Well, this is my stance on that as well, because even in the situation that I was in, that I was getting gang stalked, bullied, and threatened on, people wanted me to know certain things about a person. Number one, it's not my business. It's not the public, or it's not a person's business, what a person does when they're over sexual. If a person is a freak, that's just who they are. And, be it right, be it wrong, it just is what it is. It's just, but if you're not involved, or you don't want to be involved, then that's it. Nobody can force you on that. And I feel like they force his sexuality. I'm clear. It's clear to say that, his sexuality is not only questionable, but maybe he is a bi man. Maybe there are further issues. Oh my gosh, she fell. Oh, the little girl fell. Her daddy got her. There are, maybe there are some things that are questionable about his childhood. Um, so all that goes into play, but to put it on display for us, the world, to see it, and then, I kind of feel like maybe they will let him go. Maybe he will be, somewhat or partially free, and he's going to go back out into the community. So they want us, and I said, when I say us, I'm going to say black people, respectfully saying, they want us as black people to see him as a freak, as a perv, as a predator, and not to negate or refute any of that. But at the same time, maybe there's a little boy inside of him that desperately needs help. We don't know. We don't know what his childhood was like. We don't know. Nonetheless, what we do know is the fact that people um were in cahoots to, really tarnish him. Okay, and yes, he contributed to that as well, being one way to the public and another way behind closed doors. I personally feel like when you are with someone, especially when it's consensual, when you are doing something, no matter what that is that you're doing, it's nobody else's business. So why kiss and tell? Why hump and tell? Why backdoor and tell? And y'all know what the backdoor is. Why tell? People want you to see them as a victim, but they never want to add in the factor of them contributing to them being victimized. And then when the situations get more in depth, we find out, like this man, that, other things that if I can find the video, I'll come make a link as a TikTok, things that he was saying as far as, things that he and Cassie were doing, and things, I think it was a DA, he said, that reached out to him with Cassie or whoever, but they, wanted to force him into doing something to make him look a certain type of way while he was on stand. Ladies, I just want to say these things happen, and it's more than one way to look at a situation. And when I say there's more than one way, because a lot factors in. I'm not by any means saying that, Diddy is innocent, because I'm there are his guilty parts that are just there. But we need to go back to normalizing what victims are. Victims, I'm not saying that, financial compensation is not necessary, but that's not the first thing that they want. That's not the first thing. Also, when people engage into these acts that I'm talking about, engaging, they willingly engage. Years later, we hear about things that they didn't want to do, and now they want the world to know. Myself personally, I just don't agree with that. And after hearing that man's testimony, and he said he was testifying because he was getting a lot of hate from a lot of black women, saying that he was victim shaming because they tried to force him into a corner to speak against Diddy and not Cassie. When he said, if I'm not mistaken, he said that he and Cassie, had an affair, sexual affairs, years before Diddy entered the situation. So he felt like he was being groomed and prepared for what could later be said. So let's just all work on being accountable for the things that we do and don't do. And I will still always say this: when you consensually um do something with someone, no matter how degrading you say it is years later or later on, guess what? You did it. You wanted to do it. Now she said, there were some things she said she was forced to do, she had to do. I can't take that from the young lady. That's not what I'm trying to do. But she sure looks very incriminated after I watched that video from that man. And ladies, let's all begin to look at people in more than one way. If a person is very vile, if they are very corrupt, what's wrong with them? Like, why do you think they would be that way? Like, what do you think makes people overly sexual, degrading, so to speak? What makes a person like that? Not just men, but women as well, because there are a lot of women out here that are overly sexual. They're into vile things. Vile is nasty. They're into the nasty things. That's just what they like. They're into the group thing. They're into certain things that some people say, "Oh, I would never do that." What do you think makes a person experimental like that with themselves? I'm ending it there, but I just want to also say, you know, just because a person says that they're a victim does not make them a victim. And my personal belief and opinion. I also want to say it doesn't take us 15, 20 years to say that a person did something to us. What makes a person comfortable coming back 20, 30 years, stating a claim versus when it actually happened? I don't know that those are victims, especially when I see civil suits. And I just want to say something too about black men. As a black woman, it is disheartening that when our black men make it to a certain status, especially financial status, that they are likely sought after, and their own so-called friends are used against them. Family members turn on them because of money, and I'm telling you what I experienced. I didn't know a person's status. I didn't know certain things about a person. Things were, oh, Chloe, you pooping. Oh, goodness. Things were told to me to provoke me, to make me mad, and so that I would publicly say other things, and so that I would join, forces with them against him, so to speak. And just know that everybody that says, I need your help, you got to know what help is. And I just hope that we all, as women, can have enough common sense, enough knowledge, wisdom, and spiritual discernment to make the righteous choice when it comes to these type of allegations towards a person, being involved with setups, being involved when people are sought after. I just hope that we all can make the right choice, and every right choice is not going to make you popular, it's not going to make you liked, it's not going to make a person love you, it's not going to make a person stand by you. But when you know that something is wrong, try to do your best not to get involved with it when we're talking about these type of cases and situations. Well, ladies, my pizza should be done. I look forward to your comments in the comment section. I got to hurry up and go straight home now. Cole, you didn't did what you didn't did. Hi, Cole. You want to say hi? Say hi. Say hi, ladybugs. Okay, she's not in a talkative mood. Y'all have a good day. Happy Sunday. Oh, one more thing. Women. Women will befriend you only to get you to use you. So be careful of that. Women will try to befriend you, and they have a plan and plot for you to help them with something immorally, downright wrong, evil, wicked, sinister, corrupt. Don't forget that there are women out here that do that, that are doing that. And a lot of them are on these channels and in these chats and comments. Spiritually discern so that you know the difference and what you should never be like. We should never be a person that participates in something and then want to cry victim later, whether it's a day later, a week later, a year later, 50 years later, 15 years later. We should never want to do that. Namaste.